Jennifer Ragsdale, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing swimmingly. Thank you for making the time today. You are my first interview for Star City Council, people. Here it is. Okay, Star is a wild place in the Treasure Valley. I believe Mayor Chadwick articulated that there was about 10,000 population in roughly around 2020, and that has since doubled to like over 20,000. So as far as growth percentage-wise, Star is one of the fastest growing places in the entire state, right? As far as, gross population, sure, it's not that big yet, but man, a lot of changes have come to Star. You are running to be a city councilwoman in the city. Why are you doing this?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course.
Yes, Star is, we moved from Montana in 2020, and Star at that time only had a stop sign. Just one stoplight, didn't have a grocery store. I mean, it was crazy to see the growth over these last years. Part of the reason that I'm running is because I feel like with all this growth, we need to have responsible growth. So because our community is growing so quickly, we need leaders that can make thoughtful decisions to ensure the development strengths of our city that does not overwhelm the infrastructure or changing the character of our neighborhoods.
What does that mean? Because I have Nampa City Council people in, I have pretty much growth is a major question across all of Idaho, especially with rural communities. And Star is this very desirable place. And so many of the services in Star, right? They're not under the control of Star.
Correct.
Right? Like you don't control the school districts. You don't control hospital systems. You don't control fire.
Correct.
Right? Like the Star city government doesn't have control over a lot of the services that make the city, like a fire safe place or a good education system or things of that nature. You don't even control roads, right? That's highway districts.
Yep.
So when people talk about responsible growth so it doesn't overwhelm things, what does that mean to you?
I think to me, that means that the growth must follow the infrastructure, not the other way around. I sometimes, there's just new subdivisions popping up every place. It can be a little bit overwhelming too. But I just think that we are growing too fast in a way that for me, what I believe that our priorities need to be the roads, the schools, utilities before approving all these new developments.
How do we do that? Because, again, you can't force, for instance, West Ada. West Ada School District is a school district in Star, right? If West Ada School District wants to build a school or not build a school, that's going to be a decision that they're going to make based on population growth and things of that nature. Like, where are the kids, right? Like, you're obviously not going to build an elementary school where you don't have a high population of elementary school kids. So first off, how do you have that decision where it's kind of like, okay, if our growth is dependent on these other entities, like how do we interface with them?
Well, I think that we have to be open to working with the other city governments and other cities and not take in consideration what their plans are to maybe what our plans are, and if we can work together to bring all that together versus I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. You're going to do this and you're going to do that. And, we have to work together, I believe, with all this growth out here. We really need leadership and people that aren't afraid to work with somebody else from some other city council or another mayor or something like that.
Gotcha. Star has beautiful, larger lot, kind of estate style living in, again, northern Star. That density obviously precludes greater, like if you have a bunch of 5-acre lots, you can only build so many 5-acre lots, right? But if you have, I think it's R4 where it's like 4 lots per acre or R8, which would be even more dense, you have the capacity to grow faster. That is obviously a lever through planning and zoning that Star can have a conversation about. Right. Do you think that the Star zoning, like talk to me about Star zoning? And how it relates to growth or whether you think that would be a mechanism to slow or speed up growth.
Again, I feel like the infrastructure needs to follow the growth and not the other way around, which I guess maybe doesn't make a lot of sense because you need growth, you have your infrastructure. But I think with zoning, and again, there's so many brand new neighborhoods and so many different zoning for this and zoning for that and zoning for this, that we all just we collectively need to be together on the same page. And that includes, involving the people in STAR and listening to what their concerns are, what their questions are. But the growth it's crazy.
It is, man, I hear that. What are some issues that you see in STAR, either impacts from growth or issues that you feel that, you would really champion as a city councilwoman?
I would really champion behind our law enforcement. I mean, I think that, public safety is something that is a foundation for a thriving community. And I'll stand with our law enforcement, making sure that they've got the resources and the training and the support. And then I would also, through that, have more officers that just kind of come around into the different communities. Not necessarily they're there for stopping somebody, but just kind of making more of a presence in the community and interacting with people, that way.
Could I bother you to come back to the mic? You're like swinging away. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know it's annoying to have a microphone in your face.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. People I want to hear your answers. And
Yeah.
You're getting farther away. No, it's okay. So have a greater presence.
Yeah, have encourage a greater presence. Not when just they have to be there because they're pulling somebody over, picking somebody up, and that we need to establish and strengthening maybe our neighborhood watches and with the law enforcement. So it's not just feeling like, oh, I'm not neighborhood watch person. Oh no, what am I supposed to do? That maybe we could somehow work closer with law enforcement on that. And then also just strengthening our community partners in prevention programs for families. We have a lot of kids around here now. We have lots and lots of kids, which is exciting. We need the kids.
Right.
But I think we at some point would need some sort of a prevention program, a place for kids to go. Where I feel like as STAR, we're not at that point yet where there's just kids wandering around all the time, but but that everybody deserves to feel safe in their neighborhood, in their community, and so working closer with law enforcement,
Gotcha,
to give them the tools or the resources or whatever they need to help us to protect our neighborhoods.
When you talk, STAR's a contract city, right, for their law enforcement? Like they contract with Ada County Sheriff, I believe.
I'm not sure.
I'm 99% sure. Okay, regardless of whether it is, I've had Chief Hessing on. Really enjoy him. When you talk about supplying with the resources to have a greater presence, what does that look like for you? Do you think that's adding one or two deputies from the sheriff's office to become part of the STAR Police Department? Like what? Because again, if you want that more proactive presence, right, and STAR does a very good job with proactive policing, but if you want more of that proactive presence, that's obviously more man hours. So what do you envision as the resource ask?
So I feel like we need to, if it's partnering with the sheriff's department, just have more deputies. I just feel like our law enforcement, it just needs to be a little bigger impact, even though I know it's hard when you only have so many people to do the job, but they're so important for us, and I'm so behind law enforcement. My son is a police officer, and again, because we're growing so big, and I feel like we would need to get more officers on, or partner with the sheriff's department, or do something, maybe just have a little bit more of a presence.
Gotcha. With the tax structure within Star, right? So one of the big things that Star is struggling with, obviously, is that you have a tax structure that restricts the amount a budget can grow, right? So you have a 3% budget growth and then potentially more, up to 8% if you take foregone and you take a growth exemption. So you have this, up to 7 or 8% growth in a budget per year. And that 7 or 8%, especially within the city of Star, totally does not keep up with the actual growth, right? So when you have an explosion of population without an explosion of the budget, right? Because in other places, the state that I moved from, if you had 3 houses and then you went to 4 houses, well, now you had 4 houses paying, analogous to, it's like each paying $10,000, and now instead of $30,000 budget, you have a $40,000 budget.
Sure.
But that's not how it works here. It's like, no. If your budget is $30,000 and you go from 3 houses to 4 houses, you just split up that $30,000 across 4 houses instead of 3. So everybody's bill actually went down, right? And that's what's happened in Star. Interestingly, since 2020, people's property taxes have gone down because of the growth, right? But taking that into consideration, people really don't, at least it's my understanding that people in the Star area are not a huge fan of self-electing to tax themselves to increase even things like fire service, right? So do you think that would be a conflict with saying, hey, we would like to increase the police presence. It's going to take more money from you guys, but that's what we want to do.
Well, I would hope not. I would hope that public safety, even, as far as fire departments, that, public safety is what's the cornerstone of any community. We have to have that type of law enforcement. We have to support them. We need them. So you would hope that it would be important enough to people to sit back and think about how fast Star is growing, and then what we do need to keep us safe and the kids safe, and you're not scared to walk someplace or something like that. So, but again, it would have to be hoping that the people of Star would realize that it's just very important to keep that law enforcement and the fire departments and everything in our community. I know impact fees, that some of the developments have those, and so that those costs are covered to help cover some of the roads and sidewalks,
like infrastructure,
and stuff. In these new subdivisions. So I think that probably helps a lot too, because then that whole burden of all of these new neighborhoods isn't spread across the entire city.
Right. When you talk about the fire and police, there is a real problem. And again, I'm not saying city council can affect the fire district, right? Fire district is its own entity. Whenever people pay taxes to that fire district, that money goes straight to the fire district. It never touches the city's hands. Is there a problem with the current state of fire service within the city of Star? Because the city of Star, it has decided through several votes right now, and you need a supermajority, not just a simple majority. But the city of Star has not passed the threshold of a supermajority to say, no, let's use an override levy and let's fund our fire service. Do you think that's a problem, or do you think that that's appropriate at this point?
I think that with our growth, I think it would be appropriate at this time. I know people are always so nervous about, I'm going to vote for this and pay for that, and then my taxes are going to skyrocket, and it's, I'm getting dinged here and dinged there, but I think that because, again, our city is I just can't express how much it's growing, and that we need to have all of these services. I know Star has a couple fire stations already, but we need these services, and so I think that if we had to do, another levy to get it passed, we should try.
Right. And again, I believe the yays were 54% last time, but you need 66 and 2/3, so like roughly 67%.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think it would be appropriate for the city council, if you were elected, to push a campaign to encourage people to consider the requirements and needs and consider their taxes. I mean, one thing that I always chat with people about, and again, I'm not advocating for a position. I don't live in Star. Like, I'm not getting on the horn telling Star residents what to do at all. But when people say, hey, I don't like the idea of a fire levy because it's going to increase my taxes. And then I point out your taxes have gone down because of the growth. So people say, hey, growth should pay for growth. I'm like, well, that's fine. But growth has actually paid for your property tax because your property tax has dropped in the last 5 years. Anyway, do you think that's something that you would want to get involved with advocating one way or another?
I think so, because again, I just feel like these services are so important to us and to our community that I would definitely want to, encourage some sort of something to get those types of things through. And again, I think taxes, that's the big thing. You know, people just are like, all this growth, my taxes are going up, which really they're not. But when you're thinking about it, and then I know people see all the road construction. Well, that's not coming from the cities. That's not, but the safety aspect of our community is really important to me. And I would definitely be behind something to try to get another levy out there or promote something so that we can get that resource open.
Gotcha. When you talk about safety, when I had Mayor Chadwick on, great conversation with him, and he brought up an aspect of Star culture that is somewhat unique to Star, even within the Treasure Valley, which is that you can shoot, duck hunt within the city limits, right? And so many new people moving here, and he puts out a PSA pretty much every year saying like, hey guys, remember, duck hunting season coming around. Yes. You're going to hear shotguns. You're going to hear like, don't call 911, right? Like, this is not. And with that, he was like, this is our culture. This is where those people moved, right? Like, and if you moved here recently, this is what you moved into.
Correct.
Is that something like, how do we preserve that type of culture that made Star what it is, while also helping people integrate and educate them about what the new place is that they call home? Right.
Well, I think you're exactly it. We need to know that we're moving here, and yes, this is our culture. And I heard the gunshots too one time, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening? Oh my gosh, And
duck.
I know, right? So,
but like literally duck, not duck down.
Yes, we might want to duck down too.
Yeah, right.
But I feel that, and I kind of see that as sometimes a little bit in Star too. That the way that we do things or have done things and obviously you get so many more people that are coming in from all around the United States, and they all bring their own ideas and their own values. But I think that it's really important because Star is such an important little city, and I love to call it my home. And people just need to, we just all need to get along and try not to be changing things that just are not going to work. Now, I know you could say I could change this and it might work, and I'm going to say, no, it's not going to work. But I think just keeping things the status quo and not making it so much difficult for everybody, for people, and, people angry at somebody because they said this or they did that or whatever. That's not what our community is about.
Gotcha. One last thing. The city of Middleton passed an ordinance, I believe it was last year or a year and a half ago, whatever it was, and essentially to kind of affect what you've been talking about, which is, we should make sure that the growth follows the infrastructure. And their ordinance was wrapped around school populations, which is essentially if you have schools within a certain area where a new development wants to go in. If the schools are at or over a certain capacity, then they don't issue a building permit because they're like, no, look, man, if we're already at 120% population in this elementary school, you can't build another 500 unit subdivision right next to the elementary school. Like, we need another elementary school.
Right.
And that has been both roundly applauded and criticized because people have said, okay, great, you just made the housing cost more expensive in Middleton because you restricted growth, right? And if you have 10,000 homes, they're going to be a certain price. If you add another 10,000 homes, everything's going to drop down because of supply and demand. It's also been applauded because they're like, thank you for not selling out our community and the things we love about Middleton just to developers who want to develop. Do you think that's something that would be appropriate or, you would consider utilizing within STAR?
I think so, because again, it's, you want STAR to grow, but you also want it to keep its, it's small feeling and I can't think of the proper word I wanted to say, but, so yes, of course you want it to grow, of course, but you also just don't want to change. You don't want to change the whole character of the whole city. We don't have a mall here. We don't have those kinds of things here because that's just not part of our city. Our city is small, friendly, close knit, and I think that we have to keep the growth and the integrity of that it just doesn't infringe on people that are here, have property here, that we don't want to change the whole dynamic of STAR because it doesn't need to be changed, I don't think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've chatted about a lot of different things: growth, law enforcement, fire, zoning. Is there anything big you'd like to add?
Now I'm going to be stuck for an answer.
Take your time.
Like I said, I love STAR and being from Montana, and where I'm from in Montana, we sustained a lot of growth. I mean, a lot, and it.
There's a TV show about that, isn't there?
Yellowstone, I know, right?
I know, I'm making it.
No, but so I came from Bozeman. So Bozeman, was a sleepy little college town, and now it's nothing but multi-million-dollar homes. Your average person that is a Montana person that's born and raised there can't live there anymore. They've been priced out, and I don't want to see something like that happen in STAR for all of us that have been here for quite some time. I just don't want to see just this huge growth happen that pushes everybody else out of the way and just kind of changes the uniqueness of our city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that. Well, Jennifer, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for what you're doing running. I mean, we need people that are willing to bring issues forward. We need people to participate in the political process with integrity and good faith. And that's really important, right? I mean, everybody can point to people that they feel are not doing that or reproducing really bad national politics. And I'd really hate to see Idaho go that way. So thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for how you're doing it. And good luck with the campaign.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.